I thought I had escaped. I left home at 17 with a backpack and a bruise on my cheek that I told everyone was from a volleyball accident. 10 years later, I returned to my hometown not as the scared kid, but as the owner of a boutique logistics firm that had just been acquired for a number with 2 commas. I wanted a relationship with them. That was my mistake. I wanted to believe that the screaming, the withholding of food, and the locked closets were just products of poverty and stress. Now that I could fix the poverty, I thought the stress would vanish and I'd finally meet the parents I saw in old photos. My mother, Elena, is the town saint. She runs the food drive. She organizes the church bake sales. Everyone says, "You're so lucky to have her." When I came back, she welcomed me with open arms. We had Sunday dinners. My brother, Kyle, actually hugged me. For 6 months, it was perfect. Then came the opportunity. Elena sat me down with tea and a binder. She wanted to open a community center for at-risk youth. It was beautiful. It was noble. It was exactly the kind of thing that would make the town worship her. She just needed a guarantor for the initial property loan because her credit was bruised from helping Kyle out. I signed. I wanted to be the good daughter. 3 months later, I was going through my own credit report for a routine background check on a new investment. I found the loan. It wasn't for a community center. It was a personal mortgage on a derelict property owned by a shell company listed under my brother's name. The loan amount was double the property value. I dug deeper. They hadn't just taken that loan. There were 3 credit cards opened in my name, maxed out on renovations that consisted of high-end electronics and a new truck for Kyle. I went to the house. I found Elena and Kyle in the kitchen. I didn't yell. I laid the credit report on the table and asked, "What is this?" Elena didn't flinch. She poured coffee. "Don't be dramatic, Sarah. We're building generational wealth. This is for the family. You have so much, and you're going to begrudge your brother a reliable vehicle to get to the job site? After everything we sacrificed to raise you. You forged my signature on the credit card applications," I said, my voice shaking. "I signed as your authorized agent," she said smoothly, waving a hand. "It's practically the same thing. Stop trying to make us look like criminals. You're always playing the victim. It's embarrassing." I looked at Kyle. He just smirked and took a sip of his beer. "You can afford it, sis. Don't be greedy." I realized then that the abuse hadn't stopped, it had just changed currency. I wasn't a daughter, I was a resource. A vein to be mined until it collapsed. If I went to the police now, she would turn the whole town against me. She would cry about her ungrateful rich daughter attacking a poor old woman. I looked at the credit report. I looked at my mother, who was already cutting a slice of cake, completely unbothered by my discovery. I closed the folder. "You're right," I said. "I'm sorry. I was just stressed about work." Elena smiled, a terrifying, victorious smile. "I forgive you, sweetie. Just pay the bill this month, okay?" I understood then that no one was coming to save me. So I stopped explaining. I started observing. The first thing I did was nothing. I paid the credit card bills. I paid the mortgage on the shell property. I showed up to Sunday dinner. I complimented Kyle's new truck. To the outside world, and specifically to Elena and Kyle, I was back in line. I was the golden goose, properly tamed. But inside my home office, I was building a dossier. I hired a forensic accountant, a man named Miller who had the personality of a filing cabinet and the ruthlessness of a shark. We didn't freeze the accounts. We watched them. "They are getting comfortable," Miller told me 3 months in. "They've stopped trying to hide the transactions as business expenses. Your mother just used the community center card for a cruise." "Let it go through," I said. Over the next year, I became the master of the slow fade. I didn't cut them off. I just made the money slightly harder to access, forcing them to jump through hoops they didn't know were traps. I told Elena that for tax purposes, all business expenses needed to be logged in a specific software. She complained, but she did it. She was documenting her own embezzlement item by item, thinking she was just humor me. I told Kyle that the insurance on his truck required a GPS tracker for a low-mileage discount. He agreed. Now I had a log of everywhere he went, which was mostly bars and casinos, not job sites. I let them be successful. Elena became the president of the local charity board, largely due to the donations I was funneling through her. She became arrogant. She started bragging around town about her business acumen. Bad luck started to hit them around month 14. Kyle's debit card, linked to an account I controlled, was declined at a bar in front of his friends. He called me, screaming. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I said, sounding frantic. "The bank flagged it for fraud because of the location. I'll fix it on Monday." It was Friday night. He spent the weekend humiliated. Elena applied for a prestigious civic award. I didn't sabotage it. I simply neglected to forward the recommendation letter I promised to write until the deadline had passed by 1 minute. She was furious. "I must have mixed up the time zones," I apologized. "I'm so scatterbrained lately." They didn't suspect me because I was still paying the big bills. I was still the ATM. Why would the ATM try to hurt them? By month 18, the trap was fully primed. Elena approached me with her biggest ask yet. She wanted to refinance the shell property to buy a second one. She needed me to sign off on a power of attorney so she could handle the closing without bothering me. "Of course," I said. "Let's do it properly. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers and we can sign everything on the 15th. She smiled, patting my cheek. "That's my good girl." I waited until she left, then I called Miller. "Print everything. It's time." The meeting was set for 10 a.m. at a conference room in the city neutral ground. Elena wore her best church suit. Kyle wore a collared shirt. They looked like respectable business owners ready to expand their empire. They expected a notary. They got a boardroom with Miller, 2 attorneys, and a court stenographer. "A bit much for a refinancing, isn't it?" Elena joked, though her eyes darted around the room. "Please sit," I said. My voice was level. I didn't offer refreshments. I slid a 3-inch binder across the polished mahogany table. It landed with a heavy thud. "What is this?" Kyle asked. "That is a forensic audit of the last 18 months, I said. Page 3 lists the wire fraud. Page 10 details the identity theft. Page 40 through 65 are the logs from the GPS tracker and the business software proving that 0% of the funds were used for charitable purposes." Elena laughed. It was a brittle, sharp sound. "Sarah, stop this nonsense. You gave us permission. We're family. You can't sue your family." "I'm not suing you," I corrected gently. My lawyer, Mr. Henderson, cleared his throat. "We have already filed the police report regarding the identity theft and the forgery of the initial loan documents. The IRS has been notified regarding the unreported income you've been drawing from the shell company. And the bank holding the mortgage has been informed that the collateral was obtained via fraud." Elena stood up, slamming her hands on the table. The charm evaporated. The face I remembered from childhood, the twisted, hateful scowl, returned. "You ungrateful little bitch. I made you. I can destroy you. You think anyone will believe you over me? I am a pillar of this community." "Read page 80, I said, not looking up from my notepad. She froze. She flipped to the page. It was a transcript of a recording. A recording from her kitchen, taken 3 weeks ago, where she told Kyle, "As soon as she signs the power of attorney, we drain the liquid cash and let the bank foreclose on the first house. It'll ruin her credit, but who cares? She's got plenty." The silence in the room was absolute. That's illegal to record," she stammered, looking at her son for backup. Kyle was pale, staring at the GPS logs that showed him at a casino when he claimed to be at a charity auction. "One-party consent state," Mr. Henderson said. "The district attorney is expecting you both at noon to discuss a plea deal," I said. "If you don't go, the warrants will be executed at your home. In front of the neighbors." Elena looked at me. She tried to summon the tears. She tried to make her lip quiver. Sarah, baby, please. They'll put me in jail. I'm your mother. I looked at her. I looked for the anger, the fear, the desire for revenge. I felt nothing. It was like looking at a stranger through a pane of glass. You have an hour to get to the station, I said. I stood up and gathered my purse. I didn't wait for them to leave. I walked out of the conference room, took the elevator down to the lobby, and stepped out into the bright, cold air. My phone buzzed. A text from Elena. How could you do this to us? I blocked the number. Then I blocked Kyle. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel happy. I felt finished.